Hello there, how's it going? I hope you're doing awesome and having a wonderful day. Thank you for taking the time to check out where we are with Pan That Palette. It's been a little bit, life has been crazy, but I have a lot to show you. I mean, I'm feeling great about this update. So I have 3 palettes we're going to talk about today. We've got the Prime Focus, which is the Nabla Side by Side Nude palette, as well as I'm going to update you on where we are currently with the Lorac Pro Soleil palette. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a hint inside my brain of where I'm thinking with my eyeshadow right now, I have been solidly panning this Nabla palette, but I'm also trying to see how much pan I can hit in other palettes out of my collection. So I'm also pulling in this Star Wars, the Child, or Mandalorian, the Child palette from Colourpop. I've really been enjoying this palette lately. So without further ado, let's go on and get into where I was with the Nabla palette. Because that has been my overall focus, I would like to finish it by the end of 2022. And so this is where I was this last month. And like I said, there have been a lot of changes going on with this palette. So take a gander right now. And this is where we currently are with this palette. Now, I have not quite finished all of the empty pans in this, configuration right now, but let's talk about the one that is going to be the next to go is going to be this top shade up here called Bonjour. I have been using this as a transition shade, and like I spoke about in my last video, it's not really a shade that shows up very well on my skin. So I've been able to quickly get through it because I layer it and layer it and layer it and layer it with a fluffy shadow brush. You can kind of get a hint of it going on right here in this inner portion of my eye because it does a lovely job of helping to blend out some of these darker shadows that I'm wearing, but it just doesn't have a lot of oomph on its own. The other shadows that I've been really making some progress on that you can visibly see the changes in are Clan and this shade right here called Beauty Mark. I love pairing these together to wear in my brows. Like I've said before, now that my hair is lightening up and it's going grayer, I wanted a little bit of something different to kind of lighten up my eyebrow color, but still keep with the dark trends that I have going on in my hair. These two are absolutely stunning to mix together. And the other way that I thought that I'm really gonna make some progress panning this shadow as we go into the fall, when I start working on the Love Ritual shade, I'm going to be doing a cooler toned eye to pair this in my crease. And I might even smoke out my outer V with Clan, and that's really going to help me polish off these two shadows within the next couple of months. I've also been working very diligently on this matte black down here called Untitled. I'm starting to make a little bit of a dip. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a little bit of a line over here that I kind of dip my eyeliner brush in. I just tap it in and then use that to line my lash line on top of a felt tip liner to make sure that it doesn't bleed everywhere. I'm hoping that there is more visible progress within the next couple of months, but I mean, it's taking me a long time. So now let's talk about, like I said, I've got some empty pans in here, but I went on and I ended up mixing shades in other forms to make them easier to use since I was already mixing them anyway. So the first off, the 2 shades that I've been loving in my crease that I've spoken about before. I love mixing Burnt Sienna and the Tempera shade. These two, they were matte reddish browns over here. This one was a little bit too dark on my skin tone. This one was a little bit too light, but together it's like Goldilocks. It just works beautifully, and it's been my favorite crease shade that I've worn in a very long time. So I went on and depotted them and mixed them together in this Maybelline single that I'd finished. This was a made for mocha that I liked wearing in my brows when my hair was a lot darker, and so I just used this empty pan and I mixed these 2 shades together, and I love it. Love the combination. It works super well on a day-to-day basis, and in fact, if you're looking for a dupe to this shade, I've already gone through my stash to kind of look through as I finish off that Nabla palette, and I pulled out, there's a L'Oreal shade called Madison Avenue in the Color Reach line. This is what it looks like. It's a slight bit darker than Tempera and Burnt Sienna together, but it works pretty well. And I also started looking through my BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette because these two shades in here, I've kind of been eyeballing to mix in together to kind of have the same effect on the eyes. So, and I know there are more, there are plenty more. Like I looked through my MAC Warm Neutrals palette, and this shade right here is kind of along the veins of what I'm thinking, and I thought that would be a way to hit pan in another palette for my collection. So I'm going to be playing around with some different things, but for the time being, I'm very diligently working on finishing these two shades because they are specifically from the Nabla palette. The other combination that I created has been a mixture of Better Society that was kind of a raisiny, bronzy pink that was down in this pan, and then also Magic Moment up here, which was a rose gold. This was a topper shadow, and I could not really get it to show up on its own on my eyes. So what I was doing is I was tapping my brush in between these two shades, or I would layer this on top, and I finally just decided I was tired of kind of going back and forth and, you know, having shadow kind of fall off the brush into other shadows, and it made a little bit of a mess. So I just decided to heck with it. I went on and mixed those two shadows and repressed them together. So when I finished my MAC Peaches blush, I had an empty pan here. And so I mixed the Better Society and Magic Moment, and I put just a touch of MAC's Soft and Gentle, and I've been working on this ever since. This is what I've been wearing on my lids. And as you can see, along with Bonjour, these two shadows are gonna be probably gone by the end of July. So that's gonna be 3 more pans out of this palette that I will officially be able to call it done. I'm thrilled. Oh my gosh, so thrilled. And then the last shadow that I've really been working on out of the shadow, I totally forgot to talk about it, has been Rarity down here. It's a basic creamy white eyeshadow. There is nothing to write home about this, but I love wearing it on my brow bone. That is how I've been wearing it all year long. I don't really use it to like layer all over my eye area or use it in my inner corner. It has purely been a brow bone shade. I apply it with a fluffy shader brush. It is so just easy. Don't have to think about it. It matches with any eye look. That's how I'm going to finish off this shadow for the rest of the year. So this is where we are currently with the Nabla palette. And like I said, by the end of July, I'm going to be able to call Bonjour done. I'll be able to call Magic Moment done. I'll be able to call Better Society done. And we'll kind of see where I am with these 3 shadows. Untitled is still going to be there, but I'm really making some progress, and I'm feeling good considering we are, you know, not quite into the fall yet. I've still got some time, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that I'm going to be able to finish this palette. Then the next palette that I'm updating you on is the Lorac Pro Soleil palette. I've been using this in tandem all year. I have found so many similarities with the Nabla Cosmetics palette that I'm going on and knocking out some shades. So this is where I was last time I updated you on this palette. And then here is where we are currently. I have one new pan to show you, which is this shade right here. I have been using this in my inner corner. I use a very small shader brush and just kind of stamp it into my corner, and then I go through with the Rarity shade from the Nabla Cosmetics on my brow bone. I love this shade. So since I've hit pan, I have since moved over to this shadow, which is very similar. It's got a little bit more pink to it, but I'm now currently working on this shadow to try to hit pan within the next couple of months. Then the other shadows that I've been working on, I worked on this brown shade a little bit over here to go on and expand the pan, but that is the reason that I brought that Colourpop, the Child in. And then I've also continued working on this salmony shade. You can finally start seeing a dip, but it is going to be a while before I hit pan because all I use this shadow for is to blend out my crease. You can kind of see that little bit of salmon tint in my eye look to just kind of give it some depth and some, you know, just some color, some shading. The other shade that I have been starting to kind of look at and eyeball into working on are these 2 shades right here, because combined together, they are very similar to the Better Society and the Magic Moment combo that I have down here. In fact, just to try it out, I've got the Better Society Nabla version on my right eye, and then on the left eye I have the Lorac Pro Soleil combo, just to kind of see, and not gonna lie, they look pretty spot on. So, I mean, there are some very, very subtle differences when you swatch them on your hand or when you look at my eyes in person. I mean, it's just the tiniest little bit of difference, but I mean, it's gonna give me an instant segue to go on and start working on this palette. So why try to fix it if it's not broken? I've got an instant path into going on and hitting some more pan out of this palette. And again, keep using it in tandem with Nabla. So that's where we are. Like I said, I'm gonna start working on these two pretty diligently, and then that'll give me a way to kind of finish off this crease shade, or these two shades right here from Nabla Cosmetics. I'm gonna be working on this highlighter shade. I don't know if I'll be able to hit pan in this by the time I update you in August, but we'll see. And then I plan on, after I finish the Bonjour shade, I'm gonna try to hit pan in these two shades. I like mixing these two together. Or I also thought about kind of going into these two shades up here to see how those are gonna kind of work on my eyes. So there we go, a little bit more pan porn for you to get some inspiration to shop your stash and try some things out. And then lastly, I wanted to update you on this Star Wars Mandalorian palette, because I've been going in here to use the matte brown down here called Droid Protocol. One of my shadows fell out up here, that glittery kind of balmy mess that's going on up here. So I did not use that to its finality, but it is what it is. So I've been working on this shade down here. It is a lovely, deep, warm brown. It is not a cool tone brown, but it's not completely warm. It is what I've used to smoke out my eye look. It is absolutely gorgeous on the skin. I love this palette. And this has made me kind of want to jump into some greens, because I'm actually looking at the Nabla palette. The green might be really beautiful, like as a lower lash line liner with the Cedarwood shade right here, because Cedarwood, I don't know, it's kind of an intense bronzy shade. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily like it on the lid, but I don't know if I want a shimmery crease. I don't know. I'm going to kind of look through some things. I'm kind of looking at like plums and periwinkles and greens and all sorts of things as we kind of get into the fall, but that is the Cedarwood shade. But every time I open up this palette, I'm just so inspired by like the warm brown on the top and then these greens. I really kind of want to like take a moment and play with these and just kind of see, but I don't want it to derail kind of what's going on, because I've been so diligent at making sure that I've been staying within my palette. So that's where we are. I'm going to continue working on these three for the next little bit, because like I said, at this point with the Lorac Pro Soleil, I kind of want to see how many pans I can hit by the end of the year. Not necessarily that I would pan this palette, but I want to see how many pans I can get by the end of the year. And for sure, we're going to keep working on Nabla to go on and finish it off. So that wraps it up. I hope that you're doing well and that you're enjoying your makeup, and I appreciate you sticking it out with me, because I know things have been absolutely crazy. I am thrilled to report that as we get into the fall, I'm going to have more time to be able to film, so you will be seeing more videos come from me. It's just right now, I don't have a lot of time. I really don't have a lot of time, to be very candid about it. So again, thank you for sticking it out with me and for watching the videos. I appreciate you, and I'm doing my best to catch up on all the panning videos that are currently going on right now. And like I said, with the vanity pan, I have decided, instead of trying to update you, because that project pan, the first ever in my life, like it has been the one project that I have been so unmotivated to do, and I'm gonna officially end it and give you an empties video to talk about where I am, because monetarily I have finished quite a lot out of my collection. So I'm proud of the progress that I've made. I've definitely made room in my makeup collection to be able to incorporate some new makeup at some point. I've purchased some eyeshadow palettes. In fact, would you be interested in a video on things that I've purchased recently? Because I've accumulated quite a bit of new makeup. Just because I'm ready to kind of refresh some things. It's not necessarily that I've been in like a rut where I'm just like, let's hoard all the, you know, the pretty things. But at the same time, would you be interested in that kind of video? Because I did post on Instagram, like I picked up the new like chocolate bar, Beyond Chocolate or whatever it's called, like the last of the Too Faced chocolate bar series, since now, you know, the owners have left the company. It's going to be under new hands. There's no telling what Too Faced is going to look like from here on out. And so I thought, why not? There was a duochrome shade in there that I was just in love with. And then I've also picked up the Anastasia new palette that has that lilac purple because Pop of Color sucked me in. Sucked me in. So let me know if you'd be interested, because like I said, I will have some more time to film coming up pretty soon, because now things are going to level off. I have a consistent schedule and things are gonna calm down a little bit. So take care. Hope you're doing well, and I look forward to catching up with you real soon. So until next time, adios.